Monday, September 2, 2024. The Calm Before the Storm is the title of the first chapter. In the early morning hours, the sun rose over Los Angeles, illuminating the expansive Forrester mansion with a golden tint. In all appearances, it was a day that was just like any other. Although the city was bustling with activity, a storm was brewing within the limits of the Forrester family. The city was alive with the hum of bustle. There was a subtle undercurrent of stress that reverberated throughout the corridors of Forrester Creations, in spite of the fact that the week started off with the typical routines and rituals. Ridge Forrester was observing the world outside his office window as he sat there. Because of recent happenings, the man who had built an empire was troubled, and his thoughts were consumed by them. His thoughts were focused on Yuna, the woman who had entered their life and completely rearranged everything that had been going on. Throughout his life, Ridge had always taken great pleasure in his instincts. Nevertheless, Yuna had managed to slip through the cracks, and now the repercussions of her presence were becoming all too evident. As soon as she sensed Ridge's distress, Brooke Logan, who is known for being a supportive partner, entered the room. "Are you thinking about her once more, or are you not even?" Her tone was gentle, yet there was a hint of anxiety in Brooke's question. Ridge gave a slight nod, while maintaining his gaze fixed on the skyline. "Brooke, I just can't get the idea that there is something that we are missing out on. The truth is that Yuna is not who she claims to be, and I am worried that we are all going to pay the price for it." Brooke increased her proximity to him and placed her hand on his shoulder. "Ridge, we're going to make it through this. That is always the case. However, we must exercise caution. It is not a good idea for us to relax our guard around Yuna since she poses a threat." At the same time, Bill Spencer was meeting with his son, Liam, at Spencer Publications. Liam had his own suspicions about Yuna, and Bill Spencer was meeting with him simultaneously. "Father, I have a feeling that Yuna is working for someone." As Liam paced about the room, he stated, "There is no other explanation for how she has been able to manipulate everyone so easily." Taking a moment to reflect on what his son had said, Bill leaned back in his chair. "You could very well be correct, Liam. We need to delve even more. At the same time that Yuna poses a danger to the Forresters, she also poses a danger to us. Additionally, you are aware of how I feel about threats." As the day progressed, the different participants in this complex game of deception went about their business, each of them being unconscious of the imminent catastrophe that was about to take place. A Tuesday, September 3, 2024, titled The Seeds of Doubt, is the date of Chapter 2. As the players struggled to come to terms with the rising mistrust that surrounded Yuna, the following day brought more questions than answers to the table. Steffy Forrester, who had always been the matriarch of the family, was unable to shake the feeling that something was not quite right. A difficult argument ensued between Steffy and Hope Logan, who had just lately become embroiled in Luna's web. Steffy found herself in the middle of the conversation. "Hope, I'm concerned about Yuna," she said. Steffy spoke in a tone that was low but firm. "She has been too close, too fast, and it is making me uneasy and uncomfortable." A sigh came out of Hope's mouth as she removed a stray hair off her face. "Steffy, I can appreciate your fears, but Yuna has not done anything that would even somewhat merit such a level of mistrusting. On the contrary, she has been nothing but helpful and lovely." Steffy gave a slight shake of her head, all the while her instincts were urging her to safeguard her family. "That is precisely what makes her such a high-risk individual, Hope. There is something that she is concealing, and I am determined to discover what its nature is." Hope directed her gaze towards Steffy with a mixture of compassion and exasperation. "I just want to caution you, Steffy. There is no reason for this family to go through another war." Ridge convened a meeting with the senior personnel at Forrester Creations. The purpose of the discussion was to discuss the developing worries around Yuna. During Ridge's presentation of his allegations, Zen Forrester and Carter Walton exchanged restless glances with one another. "Yuna has ingrained herself in every facet of our lives, both personally and professionally," Ridge stated at the beginning of the sentence. "It is imperative that we remain watchful. Every interaction I have with her should be documented, and every detail should be thoroughly investigated It would be irresponsible of us to take any chances. Having always been the voice of reason, Carter raised his voice. I understand your concerns, Ridge, but we must be careful not to alienate her if she is innocent. I am sorry for the inconvenience. Within the organization, we do not wish to generate any stress that is not essential. As Ridge acknowledged the significance of Carter's words, he bowed his head. Yes, you are correct, Carter. Careful handling of this situation is required. On the other hand, I am not likely to disregard the warning indications. The time has come for us to get ready for something that is on its way. The tension that had been building up within Forrester Creations was apparent as the meeting came to a close. Everyone was aware that the place at Veneer was nothing more than a front, and that a storm was gathering beneath the surface the entire time. Wednesday, September 4, 2024. The web will be tighter. This is the third chapter. The level of stress had reached a boiling pitch by the middle of the week. Each of the protagonists was unaware of the entire scope of Luna's ambitions, yet they found themselves becoming more and more entwined in her web throughout the story. Over the course of the preceding few days, Finn Finnegan has been conducting an investigation on Luna, pursuing leads, and discovering troubling details about her recent past. The inquiry that Finn was conducting took him to a modest structure that was located on the outskirts of the town. Once inside, he had a conversation with an old buddy who was in possession of knowledge that was normally off-limits to him. A sense of urgency could be heard in Finn's voice as he stated, I need to know everything you can find on Luna right now. After giving a little nod, the friend, who had previously worked as a private investigator, started typing on his laptop. With a gloomy expression on his face, he looked up after a few tense minutes had passed. When I found out what I did, Finn, you are not going to like it. It is not even Luna that is Luna's real name. She has been moving about from place to place, entering wealthy families, and leaving chaos in her path for years. She has been concealing her identity by using aliases. As Finn took in the information, his heart sunk to its lowest point. Are you aware of the company that she would be working for? A head shake was heard from the investigator. That's the thing. There is no obvious path to follow. Regardless of who she is working for, she is doing a fantastic job. One thing, however, is certain. She is a threat, and her presence in this location is not a coincidence. Finn went back to the Forrester estate, armed with this fresh information, his mind spinning with the various scenarios that may have occurred. Despite the fact that he was aware that he needed to inform Steffi, he was also aware that doing so would put her and their family in danger. He was greeted by Steffi as he entered the building through the front door, and she was able to see the struggle that was present in his eyes. It's Finn. What's the matter? Inquiring with a tone of concern, Steffi asked the question. The meeting was started by Ridge, who maintained a steady voice, but showed signs of concern in his eyes. I have called this meeting because there is something that we need to talk about, the speaker said. It has been brought to my knowledge that Luna is not the person that she claims to be. All of us have had our suspicions, and now we have evidence to back them up. As Ridge presented the evidence that Finn had discovered, the room was filled with gasps from one person to the next. Since the very beginning, Luna has been dishonest with us. She has been taking advantage of us and manipulating us, and now we are aware that she is working for someone who works toward the destruction of us. As soon as everyone started talking at the same time, the room descended into a state of complete anarchy, with their voices blending together in a cacophony of dread and wrath. After rising to his feet, Eric Forrester's face was pale. It is imperative that we get to the bottom of this. We can't allow this woman to cause our family to become estranged. With a gloomy attitude, Ridge nodded his head. I am in agreement. However, we must exercise caution. It is risky to be around Luna, and it is much more deadly to be working for whatever she is. Now is the time for us to play intelligently. Luna entered the room as the family proceeded to discuss the next actions they should take, and her presence threw a shadow over the individuals who were gathered there. She was able to sense the strain, and she was aware that something had turned out differently. However, she tried not to let it show. Will everything be all right? Luna inquired with a tone that was peaceful and unruffled. Ridge turned his back on her and faced her, his look non-existent. We had just finished talking about some family-related issues. You do not have anything to be concerned about." Yuna gave a smile, although it did not end up reaching her eyes. She was aware that the foresters were keeping an eye on her, but she did not feel concerned about it. She was familiar with the game that she was playing because she had been in this situation before. "If there is anything that I can do to assist you, please do not hesitate to let me know."